Howdy there, folks. I'm Isaac, and I have a Sigma class spaceship.
And I'm Claire, and I have amazing bubble power.
And this is Make That
Make that
Game.
game so fast, where we pitch the latest
Greatest
new video game ideas.
that aren't in the process of being made or probably ever going to be made.
Want one?
Ta-da! I like how you went for the womp womp and I went for the da, different moods.
So Isaac, last week you said you're no longer a gamer. Have you reestablished your gaming cred? Have you been gaming this week at all?
A little tiny bit.
A little tiny bit.
A little teeny bit. I did play more Kirby with a little friend of mine called Claire. It's
wow.
you. A little friend of mine. Yeah, no.
I don't want to be a little friend of yours, to be honest.
With my partner. Played a little Kirby. Almost done with that. And yeah, exciting times. It's getting harder. It's getting tougher. It's no longer baby mode.
To be clear, almost done in that, like, we're almost at the last battle, I guess, dungeon, whatever you call it.
Which I could actually, that's just speculation based on the area that we're on and me using my video game knowledge.
I don't think you're wrong, though, because also just using my like story structure knowledge, they've upped the stakes with kidnapping the little fairy who's our friend versus just Waddle Dees. So now it's personal. So it does feel like we're getting to the end. However, we are only 42% completed in the game, so there's still a lot of game to game, you know?
Yeah, we got to find all the little secrets.
We got to get all the Waddle Dees so we can complete Waddle Dee Town.
We got to complete the town. We got to get all of them.
We got to get all of them. So there's still a lot to do. But yes, we were playing some Kirby.
Besides that, I downloaded and played a new game called Tokyo, The Tower of Perpetuity. It's an interesting little platformer roguelike, which I will deep dive into. Not really deep, but I'm going to give you the old honks and the new bonks. I don't know why I said it like that. On Tokyo, The Tower of Perpetuity, which is available on Switch and PC, I believe. Then I also last night got sucked into No Man's Sky, the Leviathan update. So No Man's Sky does periodic updates, which like big amounts of content. I think the last time I brought up No Man's Sky was right when they did the combat update. So they added a whole bunch of new kinds of enemies and changed the way combat worked a little. I played it for like 30 minutes and was like, combat feels the same. There's just new enemies. And then I completely skipped the pirate spaceship combat outlaw one. But I'm on the Leviathan update, which adds space whales and a roguelite mode. So they have the No Man's Sky has these things called expeditions where each patch content update for a number of weeks, it seems. I've never really delved into these, but they look like they're temporary because it says I have 4 weeks to complete this. But it basically gives you missions besides the infinite survival mode, like the survive and explore basic mode. This one, you start on a planet, you have to get your memories back. And as you get memories, that unlocks like random upgrades for your suit and weapon and spaceship. And every time you die, you start back at the beginning, but all of the memories that you've unlocked will give you new randomly generated stuff. So like you lose all of the little resources that you found, but you can keep like the large scale stuff. I think that's what the text boxes have said. I have not actually died yet, except for the singular time that they forced me to proceed. So either this is easy baby mode or what, I don't know. A big part of it is exploring like derelict freighters, which are infested with aliens, but the alien infestations come in the form of like nests that if you don't disturb, they don't hatch. So I'm pretty much freely walking around, grabbing everything I want and then leaving. So I'll see if they make that any harder, if that was just the first one was a freebie, but I don't know. So much for dying, so much for roguelite, so much for combat at all. I found more danger in the random wildlife.
That was pretty bitter. That was pretty deep.
Yeah, so that's my gaming. I do have some gaming news, a rarity on this podcast, but you know, sometimes we break it. As some people know, I am a big Warhammer fan, and this last week, Warhammer Skulls Festival, which I guess is like their video game festival, a bunch of games went on sale, and they also made a couple of announcements, and I just want to pick two that looked the most interesting to me. One of them is Bolt Gun, which is the ultimate 40K game, it looks like. After seeing the trailer for this, I don't understand why you would make any Warhammer 40,000 game except for a boomer shooter game. It does not make sense to me that you would do any other situation. And
now,
when
what
I say
is that? Okay,
a boomer shooter is like a first-person shooter from the 90s. Like the entire trailer looks like a modded Doom, like the original Doom.
I'm not getting any reference points yet of what this is. Yeah, I didn't play video games in the 90s.
Yeah, it's like
Sims came out in the year 2000, so I really didn't.
I don't know how to describe this to somebody who isn't familiar with like the basic concepts, but like, I mean, you're familiar with a first-person shooter, right?
Like Call of Duty.
Yes. So it's basically Call of Duty, but without any of the modern graphics or modern design innovations.
So I think this is actually going to be really relevant to the game I'm pitching today, it turns out.
Oh, interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But so I do have some bad news about Bolt Gun.
Yeah.
It's not going to be out until 2023, aka when my Chaos Space Marines will get their second wound. Hey, yo, that's a little joke for the tabletop gamers out there. That's a little joke for me and the tabletop gamers.
They loved it.
Yeah, they're going wild right now. They're going wild. I know at least one listener is out there like, oh,
yeah.
Snap.
If you like that joke, please tweet at us at Make That Game Pod. Send us a DM on Instagram or send us an email. You know, we'd love to hear it. Our tabletop fans and our gamer fans, where they intersect would be great. Yeah.
The second game that looks interesting that they announced is Rogue Trader. So Rogue Traders in Warhammer are these people who get spaceships and they get a right of trade. So the power, the government in power basically gives them, you know, the bit in Parks and Rec where the cop comes up and he's like, hey, do you have a permit to do that barbecue? And like the guy with the mustache hands him a paper that just says, I do what I want. That's what the right of trade is.
We need to get Parks and Rec. Like, we need to get it. And I say get it because it's no longer on Netflix.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I searched the used video store for DVDs of it sometimes.
Incredible.
But I haven't found a box set and I don't want to buy like season 2 just alone.
No, you need all of it. But yeah, so you basically play as a person who has like the literal version of that note. Like literally you have the right to do whatever you want as long as it makes money for that you then get taxed by the government. So, you know, you get a lot of freedom. You get to hang out with aliens, which is basically a no-no. You get to do a lot of stuff. So that's like an interesting setting. The tabletop RPG version has always been interesting. It looks decent. It's made by the same company that did the latest Pathfinder games. Speaking of, I need to play the latest Pathfinder games to see whether I'd like Rogue Trader or not on a gameplay level. They've gotten a lot of rave reviews, but I have not actually played them yet. So there's my news from Warhammer Skulls, that my little side passion. Actually, I would probably say tabletop is my primary passion. Video games are my side. The reason I'm not playing video games or as much is because I'm often like painting or building models. But anyways,
Isaac, don't you have like a whole stream set up for you building models and playing tabletop games?
I do actually.
What is it called? How can our listeners engage more content with Isaac?
If you want more Isaac content, specifically Isaac tabletop gaming content, it is Table It Gaming on Twitch, Twitter, and Gmail and Instagram. I believe all of them are Table It Gaming. Wow, I'm so good at this. Anyways, twitch.tv/tableitgaming, TABLEITGAMING.
Good job.
We stream Mondays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. EST to like 10:30, 11 EST. Boom. Check us out.
You did it. You did a plug. Look at you.
Yeah, but not in the plug section. But anyways, do you have any latest gaming endeavors / newses according to my show outline?
Sort of. I don't really have news. I feel like I never hear about news. I guess I heard about Lila's Sky Arc. That was cool.
That's true.
I found that.
You broke that story.
I broke that story. Yeah. I have not really been gaming that much either. And I played
Animal Crossing. I saw that.
No, I can talk about it. I did play Animal Crossing. I will say that because I did talk a lot about Paradise Planning, whatever, designer fun time, and the DLC where you get to design things, and specifically vacation homes. So I love that. So I usually log into Animal Crossing to do that, but then I get overwhelmed by like all the daily tasks on the island. And then it becomes, then it's been like an hour and a half and I've just collected like shells for no reason. And then I'm like, oh, I haven't actually played the game I came on here to play. So that was a little frustrating, but I love Animal Crossing. I got a new haircut in the game, got some new threads. I would like to kick off a couple people from the island, but that's not a choice.
Yet.
So. Yeah, I mean, when they're ready to go, they can go. I still feel bad because I didn't know you could fly to different islands to get a new person. I thought you just had to take the first person you saw when you have a vacancy.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry that you didn't know. I would have told you.
Well, you did tell me, but I had already done it once. And so that's why we have Sterling. Like, he's okay, but we're stuck with him because I thought he was the only choice besides a rando.
Oh, okay. You didn't know that you could like go to different islands.
Correct. But you told me the next time we lost someone, and that's how we got Admiral, who I love. So that's good. I'm all in it for the grumpy villagers. I would just want a grumpy island if I could have it.
You can,
Well,
it takes some time.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't start over because we share a Switch, which is so frustrating. You should be able to have 2 different islands if you have 2 different accounts, but well.
I agree. I actually agree that it's a weird choice that they made that it's 1 Switch per island, but I guess Animal Crossing has always had the, multiple people hanging out in a little. I mean, usually in older games, I believe it was a little square where all of the player houses would be. Like, you couldn't just place it wherever you wanted on the island. So there would be 4 houses for up to 4 players per island. And then I think in one of them, you actually had to be roommates with everyone. Like, it all shared 1 house, if I remember.
And they were roommates.
It's
Pride Month, y'all.
It is.
Yeah.
Hey, Claire. Have you ever heard of a honk? Have you ever heard of a bonk? You have? Good.
I have.
Present them to me.
Okay, so one game I didn't get to say that I was playing, I did start a new game, and it's called SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated.
Oh.
So this is a game. Isaac has a PlayStation membership. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Isaac has a PlayStation membership, and because as part of that, he gets like games for free every month. I like to think about it like the Kindle. You get like if you're a Prime member. Oh, hot tip! If you didn't know this, if you are an Amazon Prime member, you get 1 free book a month. You get to pick out of. They have like a list of new releases, and sometimes they're pretty good. So
that's kind of like the Audible credits, right?
I don't know. I don't use Audible, but maybe. Okay. But yeah, just any Prime member though. You don't have to sign up special to anything else. Any Amazon Prime member gets a free book a month on Kindle. So, and you don't have to have a Kindle to use it. Just a hot book tip from a not book podcast, but it's good to know. Anyway, so I see it like that. But he gets the free games, and sometimes he'll show me the games that are available. And one was the SpongeBob game, and I have not had any bad experiences playing SpongeBob games, and I have played a lot because getting the internet coincided with my 1 year of being a SpongeBob super fan.
Just 1 year?
Yeah. Oh my God, this game came out in 2020.
Well, so it is a remaster of a game that came out much earlier.
Okay.
That's what the rehydrated stands for.
Okay, because I was like, no way did this game come out in 2020. I'll get to that in the bonks. Anyway, so SpongeBob, my love of SpongeBob coincided with getting the internet. So I played a lot of SpongeBob games on like Nickelodeon, like a lot of Flash games. Pretty much any SpongeBob game that they had, I would play. And I thought that they were all really fun. So I said, hey, this game probably going to be a big nostalgia trip. Never played a console game that's a SpongeBob because I didn't have a console. So this will be really fun. And yeah, so we're going to honk and bonk it. So I actually did find it really fun. It's very, it's delightful. It's a delightful little game. If you love SpongeBob and you can get this game for free, like absolutely play it. So one of the honks that I really like is that it shows you where floating enemies are. It's a very specific honk, I guess, but there's a mechanic where you can jump up really fast with bubble power. And this is very useful because there's a lot of like floating things, either enemies or buttons or something that you might need to do that for. And they put a big circle with an X under the enemy, even if it's moving. So you know where to line yourself up to successfully hit it.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, which I mean, okay, might be a little bit like obvious. I don't know if that like makes it too easy, but it's really convenient, especially since it is a third person like 3D game. Where it can be tough. Well, I guess it's not, because you can move the camera all around. Like you can look at any angle you want to look. So I think it really helps to have that because you can get a little disoriented quickly, I think, as far as like where you are. So that's really cool. They also have a great hint system. I love a good hint in a game.
We love it. Does this one involve calling people?
It does not. So this one involves, and it's not perfect. Like the hints aren't like amazing, but also it's a pretty easy game, so you don't need a lot of hints. But the hint mechanic is Gary the snail, and you go to Gary, and Gary will just meow at you, just like the show, and then SpongeBob will be like, "Oh yeah, Gary, thanks for reminding me that I have to go over there to read this before I continue." Like, so it's just super cute. Gary. They'll have a Gary in each location, so you can always find Gary and ask for a hint. I did find I was a little bit stuck in the first area, and I went to Gary, and Gary did not help me. So, it's hit or miss.
Dang it, Gary.
But I think it's a pretty fun like thing to have. And to be fair, I should have figured out like it wasn't that hard what I was stuck on. So I see why they thought someone would be able to figure that one out on their own, which I did eventually. And then my other honk, my other honk is that it's just like goofy. Like it really like captures, I think, the spirit of the show. Like SpongeBob runs around with his arms all silly, and the what you have to collect are just called shiny objects, and they're just weird shapes that are shiny. Like they didn't even try on that one, which I think is fine. You use your like main attack is swinging a net that makes a rainbow. Like it's just a great time. If you go into an area you're not allowed to be yet, like you've gone too far, you like fall over, and then the person hand animation from the show like comes and picks you up. So it's just, they added a lot of like neat little details that just make it goofy and fun. And so it's a very like chill, funny time. There's very low stress in this game. You just get to
we love a cozy game.
You've got all the sound effects and love. So that was great. I do have a couple box though. And the first is related to me being like, oh my God, this is 2020. It was not. I need to figure out when it was. Old, I have to assume, because it is incredibly, the graphics tell me like, okay, it was 2003.
Yeah.
It was 2003 was the original Battle for Bikini Bottom.
That was a good year.
Yeah, but I mean, so in 2003, this probably looked fantastic, but it is almost 10 years later.
Now, to be clear, the graphics are updated from them.
Right.
That's part of the remaster, so.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, in that case, I mean, so it is like, but maybe that made it worse, honestly. I don't know. Because sometimes when they upgrade graphics, it can be weirder. I just
Uncanny Valley?
Yeah, and like, it's not quite Uncanny Valley, but
no.
It does have like, it has the distinct flavor of like old graphics, like an old 3D game. Like you just know, like you log in and you're like, yeah, this is not of today. And it's not a terrible bonk, I guess, but I think there's definitely a line when we started getting 3D games of like the 2D games, and like that style was still looked good, and for what it was. And then 3D graphics were like, oh, we're going to try this. And then it just, to me, looked absolutely terrible because they didn't have good 3D graphics, but they just wanted to try it, And then we're finally in, I think, like a good time. It's kind of like if you watch like an old Pixar movie and you're like, oh my God, like it still looks okay, but you're like, what? Like we thought that was fine. Or, yeah, it's just kind of like that. So I think you have, even though it was quote unquote remastered, there's totally the aura of just subpar, like we're gonna do it because we can and not because it looks good. So there's that. The other bonk is that it does make me nauseous, unfortunately. I think so far the only game that has camera movement like this that does not make me nauseous is Life is Strange, and I think it's because it does not have fast gameplay. Like I can go as slow as I want. I don't have to move quickly. I mean, obviously, if you're Isaac, you would, but that's a choice, right? Like I don't have to, so I can move at my own pace. Yeah. But for a player, it is a choice whether or not you move quickly in that game. In this game, because there are enemies and you are solving puzzles really fast sometimes, like you have to move quickly throughout the game, and the camera movement isn't, it's just making me a little nauseous. Not terrible, like definitely it's playable, but I can't play it for, hours on end. And then my final bonk is it is a little too easy. So I was talking about the shiny objects you have to collect. They kind of just float around. If there's one that's like literally like an in-game 2 feet away from the character, it will be collected. Like there is like no challenge to getting these things physically, at least. Like it's just easy. Like it's an easy game. Like even so far, I mean, I'm only on, I guess, like what you would designate as level 2. It's not really level, but area 2, I guess. They like the big bad robots still only take 1 hit to kill. Like it's just but I mean, I don't necessarily think this is a total bonk, because obviously this game was for kids. Like this is not a game for like
a SpongeBob game for kids. What?
Yeah. And it's also like, it makes it relaxing to me. Like the fact, like, yes, I've died a couple times. It's not like so easy that it's boring, but it is very easy. And they show you pretty much how to do everything. And, they make sure you succeed. But at that point, to that point, it does make it a very chill, brainless game, which is sometimes what you need. So anyway, overall, enjoying it. Definitely would be playing it more if it wasn't making me nauseous, but that's, the life I live. But yeah, that's my honks and bonks. Isaac, do you have any honks and bonks for me?
Yeah, as alluded to earlier, I have Tokoyo, the Tower of Perpetuity by Comment Out. That's the developer's studio, published by Playism. It is, as I said, an interesting little platformer roguelike. So, Mario style game. You're running around, you're jumping. It mixes bullet hell concepts. So there's a lot of bullets flying all around the screen in different patterns that your goal is to dodge them. And so a lot more projectiles than like a normal platformer would have sometimes, especially during boss fights. Like it can basically fill the entire screen with only little tiny gaps for you to have to jump through and like pretty precisely maneuver through. The two big gimmicks it's got are, one, there is no basic attack button, so you cannot like punch or shoot or anything during the game. You can only use your skill, which is, for 15 seconds, you'll shoot like a constant flamethrower in front of you, something like that. And once you use that, it takes a while for you to recharge enough mana to use it again. So you have to really plan out when and where you're attacking and like make use of it very well.
I just want to say that's a game mechanic I'm really unfamiliar with. It's like mana needed to like attack. I think there's one game I've tried, the Garden Story. That's the first game that I've ever played that has that mechanic.
Yeah. So it really makes you think like, if I use this attack on this like little slime enemy, am I going to need it in the next room before I've recharged my mana, kind of deal. And then the second big gimmick is that the level, so the game being a roguelike, it has randomly generated levels. However, in this game, the levels only regenerate every 24 hours real time. So you have an entire day to play the same level. So actually, that's going to be my first honk, is that because the level only resets every 24 hours, you can play the same level over and over again in the same given day with different characters, trying different items, because at the beginning of each run, you pick one of 3 items. You can pick those. There's some choices that change the layout of the tower. So like you'll find a statue that has like an angel and a devil, and you pick angel or devil, and then the next few, or maybe the rest of the tower, is different based on what you choose. So you can practice the route, you can practice which characters you want to play, you can practice fighting the bosses, etc., all within that 24-hour period, and just try to get the best score that you can, because when you die in a level, or
you die in real life. No, sorry.
it shows you the high score of like all the other people playing the game, and it'll show where you rate into it. So it'll show you the top half, or the top like 100 people, and then it'll show where you actually fall in. So like you kind of can compare your score, like, oh, the number 1 person has 200,000 points and I'm up to 20,000 points. Like, I've got a long way to go.
Oh boy.
So I think that it's very interesting that they chose to have that system as a roguelike. So where, yes, it's randomly generated, but it's set on a real world timer. And I think that that's fun. And I think that you particularly would be semi-interested in this, because we were actually having a conversation about roguelikes and roguelites last night.
Yeah.
Where you were like, I don't like that I can't practice like the same battle over and over again. Well, in this one, you can.
Woo! All right. I might give it a try. Give it a walk around the block. That's what we call it.
A walk around the block. Yeah.
When you give a game a try, that's what we call it, folks. In the that's a gamer term.
Walk around the block. So second honk is, there's a lot of different characters to play right from the start. Normally in these kinds of games, what I'm used to is you start with 1 to 4 characters, maybe, like, a limited amount. And as you play through the game and complete secret objectives, you can unlock different characters to play as. This one, as far as I can tell, every character in the game is just available to you right out of the gate, which is fun and means that I get to try out, Robo Boy or Maid Boy or Dragon Girl. Which, that, by the way, this is a very weeb game, weeaboo game. So it's got all the cutesy anime Japanese stuff that it's got that quirkiness that some anime inspired games come with, or I guess anime in general. So that's actually really all I could come up with for the honks. nothing else gameplay wise really stood out. Like nothing game design wise really stood out as like, this is particularly good versus, an average like game of its type. So I'm going to go on into the bonks. I thought that the gameplay, based on there being no basic attack, I thought that the gameplay was going to be a lot more passive. So I thought that it was going to be a lot more based around dodging things. I mean, don't get me wrong, you do have to dodge things quite a bit, and there's a lot of dodging and like holding off on using your weapons. But I thought that boss fights were going to be like basically timed events where instead of doing damage to the bosses, you would just have to dodge them, and it would be a very passive game, almost pacifist. It did not know the attacking is a lot more important than I thought it was going to be based on the reviews that I read of it and the pitch on the store page. So I was a little disappointed in that. I really wanted like a passive, non-aggressive, pacifist style game, but this is not quite that, if that's what you're looking for. Second bonk, jumping didn't feel quite right, oddly enough. Considering it's a platformer game, normally that's the number one thing to get done, and this could just be me, as my bonks often are. But it gave me a hint at one point that holding down the button changes like how far you jump. So the longer you hold down, the higher you jump. And even when I was doing that, I was like not quite making some jumps. Like I could not 100% of the time do certain jumps, which I thought was really weird. And I don't know if I wasn't holding down right, even if I'd be holding down the button the entire time, or if I was like triggering the double jump, because there's double jumps. If I was triggering the double jump too late and I had already like lost enough jump height. But I don't know. There was a lot of misjudging of height and distance, which with platformers, especially highly dangerous ones like this, I feel like you got to get jumping like perfect Decimo. And my third and final bonk is that the items, and I've been complaining about this a lot lately, they're very numbers go up. They're like feel completely meaningless. I pick up 40 items and I don't feel an impact in the gameplay at all. Like items are like plus 11% jump height, which you'd think would be an impact. I don't know. I start a new run and my jumps feel exactly the same. Plus 5% movement speed. I don't feel that 5% extra movement speed. Like plus 1.5 mana every time you enter a new room. I figure you kind of feel, but when you're on a 30-second timeline and you change a room like maybe every 15 seconds, it's not super impactful. Like if you get a bunch of items of the same kind, I guess they stack up to be a big impact, but since it's all random, I'm picking up all these disparate effects that don't build up into something meaningful over time. Over time, I guess they eventually all would become super meaningful, but I don't know. I just did not feel like as I was picking up items, my character was getting stronger in any way. So that was kind of a bummer. But yeah, that's Tokoyo, the Tower of Perpetuity. I will definitely be playing more of this, and I think be having a good time with it. I'm excited to see what the tower looks like today.
Nice. Awesome.
So Claire.
Yeah.
Do you want to want to give me your idea for the next best video game?
I do. And I feel like this might be an easy way out. And I also feel like someone's probably made this joke before, but I'm going to do it again.
All right, hit me with it.
So the game is called House Hunting.
Okay.
And you're going to be hunting houses in a first-person shooter style arcade game.
Okay.
And what I want the game to look like is Oregon Trail 5's mechanic for hunting.
Is that the one where you're like at the bottom of the screen and you just kind of click around and a little bullet pops out?
Well, you don't just kind of click around. Animals move awkwardly toward like across the field, and then you aim at them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a method.
There's a method to the madness.
Yes. So but like, yeah, that's what it is. And I want the animation style to be very Monty Python animation. And so the house is kind of like they get up and they kind of like scooch and they like hunker down again.
Yep. I like this. I can envision this.
Okay, good. And yeah, I mean, your goal is to get like as many houses. Obviously, like McMansions are going to get you more points than like a small ranch style house. Maybe there'll be house specific challenges like, oh, you can only get Federalist revival style architecture this round. So it also tests your knowledge, right?
Is this a Learn 'em Up Kid game? Learn 'em Up Kids,
I mean, I don't think
House Hunters. It's edutainment.
I don't know if it's edutainment because it's kind of silly. Like you would learn about houses, but I don't see this as a kids game necessarily. So the kids could play. It's kid friendly. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Very simple, like arcade style. You're trying to rack up as much points as you can. There's a couple different modes you can play in, and I assume it'd be timed. So like, how many can you get in a certain amount of time? Right. You can pick different locations too, and that would like impact the way, because just like an Oregon Trail, like depending on where you are along the trail, you can, hunt in different environments. So like the plains, woods, whatever. You get different things. So obviously there's different types of houses all across the nation and the world. So that can be fun too.
Awesome.
Some rare houses.
Dope.
Yeah. So house hunters. And I was inspired because my new job is tangential to real estate. So I was like, I've just been thinking about real estate, and I said, how can I make this a game? And that's what it's actually. So technically the working title is house hunting because you're hunting the houses. I can't steal an already trademarked title. So
that's
house
true,
hunting.
Yes.
House hunting the game. That's my game.
Good. Well, I'll be excited to play it in 2023 when it comes out.
Great. So that being said, Isaac, do you have a game for me?
I do. I am just changing a very important thing about it.
Okay. All right.
My game is called Informant. And so you are a spy ant who must deliver vital intelligence to the other ant.
Inform
nest.
Ant.
Yeah, that's what I just came up with. Because it was just Informant. I was anticipating like a World War II like serious spy stuff going on, and then I was like, hold on. I always do a silly, goofy thing. It's just called Informant. That's not fun. That's too literal of a title, or not literal enough of a title. So yes, you are now an ant in this idea. So it is a third-person top-down stealth game. So I haven't decided whether it's third-person or top-down. I think that there's merits to both. Third person, especially if you're an ant, I feel fits better because top-down view of ant tunnels probably wouldn't be that exciting or engaging, but if you're inside the ant tunnels, third person, yes. Because this is a spy game, you do have a gun, but here's the gimmick. You have one bullet in your gun, and you cannot find any more guns or ammo because you are in an ant's nest, and ants don't have guns except for you. Wow. But you can find environmental ways to kill enemies. So like you can open up a sealed door into like a termite nest or something, and they'll come out and kill enemies. You can cause a little cave in, do stuff like that. But for the most part, the only way that you can only kill one enemy in the game. But the thing is, whichever enemy you choose to use that one bullet on, assuming like there are specific enemies which will have very large changes on the game. So you can use it like if you get captured, you pew. Like if you get caught by like a random guard, you can just pew, and there's your get out of jail free card once for that entire game run. Or like if you find the commander, you can You can
the commander.
Yeah, you find the commander, you shoot him, and like the army is in disarray, so the patrols are less organized or don't go to certain areas. If you like know that one person is going to sell you out, like if you've played the game before, you know, oh, this guy's going to sell me out, or like in a cutscene, you decide that you don't trust this person, you kill them, and boom, suddenly you aren't discovered. Your treason isn't discovered until later because the person who would have given you away or brought the initial suspicion to you is dead. So that's the major thing, is you've got the one bullet that can have very far wide-ranging effects on the game. But for the most part, you start off in the enemy anthill. You are not expected to be a traitor. You can openly walk around except for high security areas that you aren't allowed to go into. Your first task is to get proof of the intelligence that you're trying to deliver. So like a map or a photo or something. So you infiltrate into the high security areas, dodge people, get the item, and then you have to get out of the base. That's still going to be, you know, pretty easy because they still don't think anything sus is going on unless they like find a corpse of someone that you had to shoot to get to the thing. But once you escape the base, that's when they realize, oh no, someone stole the photo, map, queen egg, something like that. And then you have to run through the, I guess, in an ant. The initial idea before it was ants, it was you were in a base which was in the middle of a city, then you escaped the city, then you got to the city outskirts to meet the person to give the intelligence to. But since it's ants now, I'm changing it. You start in one anthill, and then instead of a city, you're going through like the forest to another anthill, and then you actually have to infiltrate the other anthill to get to like their spy master to give the intelligence. But none of the other ants in that hill know that you're an enemy or know that you're an ally, so they will treat you aggressively. So that's kind of like the easy area because no one's really looking for you except for areas that are clearly marked as high security. Second area is there are patrols looking for you, but you can dodge them because it's a pretty open area. Like you can hide behind a tree or a root or a bush or whatever. And you can like summon birds. Like, well, like if you put bird seed in an area, birds come down and like attack ant patrols and stuff.
Why wouldn't they attack you?
Because you're hiding.
Oh, okay.
You put the bird seed down and then you run away, and then the patrol comes by and doesn't expect the bird seed, and then a giant bird lands and then starts eating the patrol, and then you run past before the birds notice you.
Seems risky.
Exactly. We love risk reward in games. And then the final area is the hardest area because it's tight tunnels, just like the first area, only everyone inside wants to fight you. So you have to dodge everyone. So it's the hardest area, and then you get to the end, you deliver the intelligence and win the game. That is Informant.
Wow. Now, would people play this more than once? Because it sounds like it could go pretty quick.
So it is, yes. They probably would not play it more than once, except for to see the various effects of like, if I shoot this character, what happens? But they wouldn't play it more than once for I don't think any other reason. Like, okay. Except for A, figuring that out, and B, speedrunning. Because every video game gets speedrun. Mm-hmm. Every single one.
Yes.
If it exists, there will be at least one speedrunner for it. That's just how it works.
Turnip Boy has a speedrun mode, right?
Yes, it does, if I remember right.
You can time yourself.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the settings you do right at the beginning.
Yeah. Which is awesome. We can't get through an episode without talking about how good this game is.
Turnip Boy is the best game. This is the official Turnip Boy podcast.
Snoozy Kazoo needs to get on it. Like, get on making something else.
They are working on something. Hold on.
Snoozy
Kazoo? News. They turned 2 on May 20th. Turnip Boy's anniversary was April 22nd. Maybe they aren't working on something. I could have swore I saw an announcement that of their like next game that they're working on. So they're keeping it secret, it looks like, because I'm not seeing any of it on their website.
I mean, if you brought up like they're apparently the company itself is only 2 years old, and that Turnip Boy's actually only been out for a little over a year, so it doesn't actually make sense they don't have something yet, because they also had like added like updates to Turnip Boy too since. So I get it, but I would love another Snoozy Kazoo. It would be good. It would be good, I think. Yeah. I'd play the hell out of that. Maybe I'll become a Turnip Boy speedrunner. That'd be great.
I would like to see it.
Especially because I'm like the least fast at video games. I'm like so slow.
Speedrun this game in 8 hours. The world record is 20 minutes.
I mean, a fun thing for that is Isaac is designing a game, and I'll play test it sometimes. And I think the first section, didn't it take me like over an hour? I
think so, yeah.
And how long did you want it to take?
I think 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm great at games. I'm really fast. I'm slow. Anyway, all right. Well, I love that game. It sounds very complicated, like complex, but I would definitely play it and give it a try. Now, have you ever wanted to like create a game idea, but you haven't really thought about it ahead of time, and you have constraints like what you have to include in it?
That's like basically every Sunday morning for me. The 5 minutes between when you ask, hey, you ready to do this podcast? And I go, yeah. And I actually have not come up with a game idea yet.
Okay. All right. Fair. Well, what if I told you could do that even more, and we can do the rapid fire round?
Oh, incredible. That's just what I've wanted, to make 4 games in 5 minutes in one day. At least I'll have help on these 3.
That's true. We'll do it together. So folks, we take 3 random words from a random word generator. We have 5 minutes to create a game based on those 3 words. They can be loosely based. We've stretched before, and we also have to come up with a name for the game. Isaac, are you ready for our first 3 words?
I am ready.
Okay, they are Shadow.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
Depressed.
Oh, Shadow the Hedgehog is depressed.
And colon.
Colon as in
COLON.
Hold on. Is that that's the
COLON?
That is a body part. And also the punctuation mark. Okay, thank goodness. I was worried that it was only one. Okay. How?
I mean,
I don't normally recommend stretching the colon, but
oh boy.
Wait, what were you gonna go with?
I was gonna go with like a learn 'em up that's about like colons.
No. I don't think so. I don't want to learn them up about colons.
All right.
All right. So colon is the 2 dots on top of each other, right?
Correct.
So if the character is a dot, all right, this is going to be hard to describe. So imagine that you've got a screen. It's split down the middle by a line. Mm-hmm. Your character is represented on each half of the screen, and when you do input in one, it is reversed in the other screen.
Okay, yeah.
So the bottom screen has reversed gravity, etc. Both characters do the same thing. They take input at the same time, but the levels are different. So you have to be basically 2 different levels at once with the same input.
Okay, I actually love this. This would be a hot indie game. Like if this exists, like this is like already like it's fire.
Exactly. And because every indie game is a metaphor for depression.
Yeah.
Just by it being an indie game, we already hit the depression category. And then the shadow part is the circles are shadows of each other.
Exactly. I already got that.
While being a colon. Boom. And this game is called
it's called
what?
It's a sound.
Okay. All right. We're done with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
I don't know how you write that down, but that's what I imagine.
I would say that would be PWOH.
Wah.
Wah.
Wah. I like that. Wah. All right. Are we ready for our next 3 words?
I am.
After that very, very mind space game.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
All right. Ooh, this is oh, okay. Yes. Equip. Moving.
Easy. Moving. All right.
Post. So I need this to be a game about mail.
Okay. You are a postman.
Yep.
You have to continuously keep moving because you must deliver the mail no matter what. So I'm imagining this being an auto runner.
I don't know what that means.
So that's a game where the level is automatically scrolling.
Like
the most annoying levels of
yeah,
Kirby,
but I get it. I think you're right. And then if you like miss a house, then you just miss it. I think that's cool. I think for equip, what I want is for you to have special cool things you can get that a regular like mail carrier would not have. You know, like flamethrowers and like I don't know.
I like the idea of having flamethrowers and stuff. I like it being a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, I mean, you know what the post office says, rain or shine, sleet or hail, we will deliver all your mail.
Yep, and that's yes. Wait, did you make that up or is that the actual one?
No, okay. I made that up. I don't, let me look up. Let me see.
No. It has no official motto. The postman's oath. Neither rain nor snow nor sleet nor hail shall keep the postmen from their appointed rounds.
Okay, I was close, and they really missed an opportunity to run hail with mail.
You really close. You killed it. I mean, that is going to be in the game. But all right, so it's a zombie apocalypse. You have to keep moving. You get upgrades that you equip. So I'm thinking that you throw the mail and you have to like get as close to the front door as possible.
Okay.
And you get points based on that.
And you have to like destroy the zombies. And I came up with a name just now because this is a zombie apocalypse. It's going to be called Post-Apocalyptic.
Boom. Okay. 2 minutes and 50 seconds left.
I want to play it. It would be Nailed also it. Like the look would be more like an older like style game, I think.
Oh yeah. Pixels.
Yeah.
Pixels. But actually one last design feature before I officially stop the counter is the guns and the mail use the same button. So you have to switch equipment.
Okay.
So the throwing the mail counts as a weapon. So you can't be throwing the mail while shooting the gun.
Okay. So, no, that makes sense. I feel like this game would be frustrating to play, but it makes sense.
Yes. Okay. Boom. 2 minutes and 17 seconds left. Killed it. Okay. We are batting on a 1,000.
Well, now you jinxed it probably. Let's see what our next words are.
All right. Yeah.
No. This is not too bad. Not too bad. Collapse. Utter
collapse. Okay, easy.
And
that's the title.
I.
EYI? EYE, I mean?
EYE, yes.
Okay. Okay. You're at the top of a tower, and as all towers do, there is a giant burning eye atop it. You have just defeated, the game starts you having just defeated the eye, and then you must go down the tower as it collapses.
I like that we start at the end. Like we rarely see, you know, like how do you get out of the situation, right?
Yeah.
So,
this is the escape.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to start a game with like a cutscene that's like, you did it.
Yeah, this is the aftermath now.
And then you get out and you have to figure out how to do all the repairs in the town after all the battles.
Actually, there we go. Boom. Yes, we have the action sequence at the beginning, and like it's there, yeah. And you think that's going to be the whole game, but yeah, then you have to do the rebuild. Actually, so this is a tangent, but there is a game where it's you play as a character in the world. The heroes have already won, but you are the one that goes around and like fixes the aftermath of the heroes. Like they'll have gone into houses and like smashed all the pots looking for secret items and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
You have to help those people. Like, yes, the heroes won the battle against the final boss, but you're the guy who lives in the world that they have like smashed up in the process. So I think that this game is a little bit in that same vein, only you're also the hero who saved the world, but you also have to manage things after. And I think that it is called Utter Collapse.
Okay, Utter Collapse. I like it. Yeah, wow, we did it. That's it. We nailed those games.
Yeah, we did. Although I've already stopped the timer, but I realized that we didn't really describe any gameplay mechanic.
Oh, I just
or
thought
Utter Collapse.
Yeah, I mean, I just figure it's like third person. You can move the camera around. You're rocking around, right?
Yeah, and it being like third person, like 3D, actually opens up a lot more potential for what, because I feel like if it was like a 2D platformer, like old Mario games or like Metroid or something, the amount of interaction going down a tower that you would potentially have is very limited.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like in the tower, it's a 3D space. You can do like spiral staircases, you can go down, you can have like a 3D level, and that's more interesting. So good idea.
All right. Well, we did it again. We finished it. And we finished our podcast for this week. So thank you all for listening. If you want to find us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok now, though we don't have any talks out. We haven't ticked any talks. But if you want to get on that. Yeah, if you want to get in on it on the ground level before we go absolutely viral, you can find us there as well at Make That Game Pod. If you want to email us, you do have to add that cast. So it'll be Make That Game Podcast at gmail.com. And you can please send us anything you think we would like to read. So we've got, if you have game ideas, if you have a response to something we've asked or talked about on the show, if you have a game that you would like us to honk and bonk, or if you have a couple words you want us to make a game out of, we would love to hear them. So that's our show. Thanks for listening. And if you heard a game today that you want to bring into this world, we encourage you to go out there and make
that
game.